Hi, it's been a while since I made a video, and I was talking to somebody about they live in Myrtle Beach. So I thought I'd look that up. This is the News and Observer, and it was written by A. Bennett Abby Bennett, excuse me, in July 2018. Updated July 25th, 2018. Sea level rise has already sunk Carolina's beach property values by 1.6 billion, study finds. Sea levels are rising and the southeast has already lost billions in property values, a recent study shows. Scientists have found 7.4 billion was lost in home values across North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, and Florida because of the sea level rise flooding from 2005 to 2017. And here's a little piece you can click on that says thousands of North Carolina, South Carolina homes totaling billions could be flooded by sea level in years ahead. Scientists at First Street Foundation, a technology nonprofit dedicated to increasing awareness and sea level rise, use data from National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, U.S. Geological Survey, local governments, and the National Weather Service and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to estimate flood risks. Scientists use data from local governments to determine changes to property values over time. FSF used the data to create an interactive tool, Flood IQ, that allows people to search communities and individual properties to see just how much value they've lost and could lose in future due to sea level rise. Let's take a look at that. So I clicked on Flood IQ, and here's a little tool. Are you at risk from tidal or hurricane flooding? Will you be at risk in 5 years as sea levels continue to rise? You just put your address up here in the space, and then it will tell you. Um, there's a monthly newsletter here you can join, and this map extends, whoops, wrong way, uh, pretty far out. And here's um, you can click on here, it'll tell you what you can do to help, and this goes way into the future. Okay, let's go back to the other site. This is what I clicked right here, this Flood IQ. I couldn't really look into the future on that tool because I don't have a property there. So I don't want to just put in somebody's property. I'm going to move down a little here. Property values lost by state. Florida 5.42 billion, South Carolina 1.11 billion, North Carolina 582 million. Virginia 280 million, Georgia 15 million. Number of properties that lost value by state, and there's the specific numbers. The study is the first of its kind to show depreciation of home values that has already taken place in the United States, EB said. Previous studies have forecast the negative effects of sea level rise could have, but haven't shown what it has already cost people. It's also the first academic paper to demonstrate that sea level rise is directly to blame for a decrease in coastal home values and how local flooding plays a role in that reduction. It is one thing to project what the future impacts of sea level rise could be, but it is quite another to know that the market has already responded negatively to this threat. Alpine said, "We need to act now." Porter added, "The ability to pay for solutions to the sea level rise is directly related to our ability to finance them. We do not want to see the beginning of a domino effect where lost property value lowers the tax base and cripples our ability to finance solutions." So there's more here you can read if you want. I'm going to go to another site. Now this link, it'll be right below, Risk Finder, Surging Seas Risk Finder. And I was looking specifically for Myrtle Beach because the person that I was talking to lives on Myrtle Beach. And this is kind of an interesting tool. They're projecting, okay, I'm sorry. Warming oceans and melting glaciers and ice sheets are raising global sea levels. About 190 people in Myrtle Beach live on exposed land below the 7-foot, that's just the selected level, risk area. The selected sea level scenario points to a 6% risk of at least one flood over 7 feet taking place between today and 2050 in the Myrtle Beach area. There's also more scenarios. And what are the risks? And here you can see the risk going up over the years. Of course, you know, we're way down right around in here, so it might not be anything for you to worry about. And this doesn't look like any big deal either. I mean, it looks so far away that you're not going to be alive any longer. Coastal flood days. Okay, this is the rise from 1955 all the way up into 2014. The orange here, driven by climate-linked sea level rise. And the light blue says it would have occurred anyway. But that is also rising, even if people weren't, even if you don't want to consider that people are contributing to global change, whatever your beliefs are, there is a natural rise occurring, is what this tool is indicating. This also says humans are causing climate change, which is causing global sea level to rise. But this map, I'm going to go back up here. I can click on it and get it bigger. Excuse me. And what's interesting about this map is that I can back up quite a ways here. Sorry, it's taking a moment here to download. Okay, so I can back up more and more. And I'm willing to bet there's really big money in this. But if you click on this, social vulnerability, these different colors are, and it's easier to see when you're closer, but show areas where it's more likelihood, depending on your income level, which I find interesting. This ethnicity tells where different groups of people live. It's another interesting point. Population tells areas where it's more populated. And then these little dots, now watch this. With unchecked pollution, the median projection for when sea level reaches 7 foot at Richmond is 2200, very likely range. So they're talking about a problem with not only sea level rising, but pollution being a problem. So I'm going to click on this little question mark here. Scientists agree that climate change has been driving a rise in global sea level, and the rise will accelerate, leading to ocean intrusion on land and aggravated coastal flood risk. Over 1,000 global tide gauges shown on the map, illustrated by the bullseyes, give downloadable local projections for sea level rise through the year 2200, based on 2 recent peer-reviewed research papers. In all cases, users may select among different carbon pollution scenarios, including unchecked pollution, moderate carbon cuts, and extreme carbon cuts. I put this link in because it is a really positive idea about if the oceans rise, that the study based on a new computer model that captures the potential of the northeast coast to change in ways that will reshape coastal landscapes. So let's see. For example, barrier islands may migrate inland, build dunes, change shape, or be split by new inlets as tides, waves, winds, currents sculpt their sands. Marshes trap sediment and break down decaying plants into new soil, which may elevate them sufficiently in some areas to keep pace with sea level increase. This is very positive, and yes, landscape does change depending on what's happening to it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here because there's been changes over millions of years. This is a very positive from the USGS idea. It might mean that if you have a house along the coast, it might not survive, but you could build a hut farther out into an island. That might happen. That was a little facetious of me, I'm sorry, but I would probably suggest something like some kind of a boat would be a good idea. It's movable. So this will probably be my last link. This is from NASA. As sea levels rise, NASA zeroes in how much, how fast. Why would NASA have an interest in this? You might want to ask yourself. I'm just going down here fast because I wanted to read. Sea level rise is a natural consequence of the warming of our planet. We know this from basic physics. When water heats up, it expands. So when ocean warms, sea level rises. When ice is exposed to heat, it melts. And when ice on land melts and water runs into the ocean, sea level rises. For thousands of years, the sea level has remained relatively stable. Thousands of years, and human communities have settled along the planet's coastlines. But now, Earth's seas are rising. Globally, sea level has risen about 8 inches since the beginning of the 20th century, and more than 2 inches in the last 20 years alone. This is a real picture here of a house on Chesapeake Bay, which is off of the United States East Coast. This water was not there when the house was built. And they're talking about how it's different in different areas, such as if you live in Scandinavia, it's falling. Residents of China's Yellow River Delta are swamped by sea level rise of more than 9 inches. And then you can read more about that here. So I'm going to end with that, but I just want to show you also on this same link, there's this link for images, and here there's several images from NASA that are pretty cool. I'm just going down them kind of fast, but you can click on the link and more images are here and see some kind of cool things for yourself. Grateful for you and here at your service. Oh, I decided that I'm going to do one more thing. This image of this house is credits image courtesy Flickr using Bald Eagle Bluff /cc by, and then they don't say by. I'm going to click on it because look at that. That looks so interesting. And look at these birds on top of there. That looks really cool to me. All right. Grateful for you and here at your service.